Hi, my name is Christoph. I would like to welcome you all back to our channel. We're now transmitting today from the city of Hasselt, Belgium. It's cold, close to Christmas and a lot of rain. So what we're talking about today is going to be charts. So I'm going to give you a small explanation about charts so you can always have a look back. So basically said, the earth is round, and to put something round on a flat piece of paper, that's not easy. So they needed a Belgian guy to do that stuff. So his name was Mercator, and actually what did he do? Well, I've got something here with me. It's called an orange. So if you see all these white lines on that orange, they should all come together in the top and the bottom. So if you consider this as Mother Earth, being the top, the North Pole, and the bottom, the South Pole, all these white lines should go through the North and the South Pole. So if I take a slice out of it, you see a slice of the orange, and it should look a bit more that they come together on the top and on the bottom. Now, let's have a look at our chart. So here we are. I've got the chart in front of me. This is the chart of the Bay of Saint-Tropez. So on the top we have the north, then we've got the east, the south, and the west. As I said, the earth is round, and you put that on a flat piece of paper. That's not that easy. So how did he actually do it? Well, you see, we have all these vertical lines. These are actually the white lines that we saw on the orange. Now they should come together on the top and go a bit open on the bottom. The more you come to the equator, it should get larger. As you can remember, the orange here is getting larger in the middle, and on the top it's getting smaller. So that's where Mercator actually did hide a bit of that error on the chart. But these vertical lines, they are all exactly the same length. So today, if we're gonna measure a distance on a chart, we're always gonna measure it on the vertical part, because on the horizontal part there is an arrow. So what he actually done is, instead of going together on one point in the top, he has bent the thing straight. So where we live, it's all right to use these charts. So let's measure some distance now. We want to know what a nautical mile is actually. So a circle, we've got a circle here on a paper. A circle is made out of 360 degrees, and 1 degree is made out of 60 small angles, which we call minutes. Now, if you take the circle that goes around the world, these white lines on that orange, if you take 1 minute of that white line, 1 minute on the vertical line, that's what we're going to call 1 nautical mile. So if you look on the vertical part, I don't know if I'm going to get that in view. You see here, we've got 43 degrees and 15 minutes. Now, if I look on the top here, I've got 43 degrees and 20 minutes. Now, the difference between 20 minutes and 15 minutes, 20 and 15 is 5. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is actually on this chart, this distance is 5 nautical miles. So if I want to measure my distance that I'm going to travel on a chart, and I'm going, for example, from A to B, and I take this distance and I measure it over on the vertical lines, I count the minutes. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4.2, 4.3 minutes. And that's it, which is 4.3 nautical miles. It's easy as that. Now, everybody has learned about scales of charts and all that stuff. Now, guess what? You don't have to make calculations for scales if you use nautical miles, because you just be counting the minutes. If this would have been 43 degrees and 50 minutes like it's here, and this is 43 degrees and 30 minutes, then that would be 15 nautical miles, that difference. So it's another scale of a chart. So you can forget about scales of charts if you just count the minutes and make your life easy. So now we know the distance that we're going to travel, and I want to also know a bit about the direction. So I've got this little tool that we're going to use. So if we're going to go from A to B and I put that on, you want to have the boat pointing in the right direction, as the direction you're going or looking at. And then the middle scale you can turn around. As you know, the north is on the chart always on top. So let's put the north on top. You've got all these lines in the middle that you can line up with these horizontal and vertical lines to make sure that you've got really the north on top. And in this case, you know, I go from point A to point B, and I measure my my angle around here, which in this case is something like 62, 63 degrees. And that's basically it. So in that case, I know the direction I'm going. Now, what are we going to use to go in a direction of traveling? Of course, we have our compass on our boat. So we just found out what the direction is that we're going to travel in. Now the question is, you know, how are we going to do that? And the tool that we've got on our boat is, of course, our compass. Now it's good to know a couple of things about that compass and how that works. Because what's the compass directing at? You know, if this is the top of the earth, you know, and that's the real north, our compass is using these magnetic lines that go around the world. And of course, what guess is it's not going to the top of the world, but it's going a bit to the side, which is called the magnetic north, and it's varying all the time, so which we call magnetic variation. So it changes every year. It's a nature effect, and we can't do anything about it. Now it is mentioned on the chart, and it's pointed out on the chart where the north is. So on the chart we have these compass roses. So this is the real north, and actually on this chart, this line is pointing out where the magnetic north is. So if I would travel this way, I want to travel this way, I would just follow my compass and I say like, oh, wait a minute, this is about 90 degrees, and I would go 90 degrees. Well, actually, I am going 90 degrees with my compass, which is pointed to the magnetic north. I am not following 90 degrees. I'm actually going maybe like 83 or something like that in this case. So it's very important that you know about magnetic variation in the area that you are navigating in. For the south of France, at the moment, it's roughly 0, but it can be influenced by local effects like rocks or anything else that can, you know, have a magnetic field around it, and it just deviates that magnetic line that goes around the world a bit. So we know the direction we're going to travel in, we know the distance we're going to travel in, and what about speed? And speed in boats we call knots. It's actually nautical miles per hour, but we call it knot. Why? Well, it was in the time that Johnny Depp was still allowed to drive his boat, and he had a guy over on the end say like, hey, how fast are we going? And they had like a piece of wood in the water with a line with knots on it, and they were just counting the knots that were coming above the water. And that's basically it. So he went like 1, 2, 3 knots. I'm traveling 3 knots. It's actually at 3 nautical miles, and Johnny went like, yeah, it's 3 nautical miles per hour. But that's basically what a nautical mile is and what a knot is. So it's very easy. Nautical mile is calculated by the amount of minutes on the vertical axis, and a knot is nautical miles per hour, like we drive with our car, like kilometers per hour. Now the thing is, what if I have to do a time calculation? Well, I take, you know, the distance that I'm going to travel, and I divide that by the speed. That gives me the time per hour. So I'm not going to go too deep in this, but if you going in on one of these courses from us, you know, then we can make some calculations on that. All right. So coming back to our charts, we have a lot of colors on our charts as well. So the yellow part, which is of course the land. Then we've got the blue part in this case, which is shallower water, and the white parts are the deeper water. The distance is measured in meters on this chart. It's set out, you know, distance in meters. If it's feet or fathom or anything else, it will be mentioned on the chart, and it will be good to look at. So there's a lot of symbols on these charts as well, which you can find out. Sometimes it's on the back of a chart, or sometimes you can find it in a book like this one, which is for the Admiralty charts. Now really, if you've got one of these on the back, you know, we've got some shortcuts to symbols. You look on one of these symbols, for example here, you know, lights P, and I go to the letter P in the book. and you will find out where all the lights are. You will look for the symbol that you're looking for, and then it's got the explanation next to it. So basically very, very simple if you want to use one of these books. It's great stuff. I've got it always with me. That's a good. So a quick summary for the charts. We've got all the colors, which is land, you know, we've got shallow water, deeper water. Sometimes there's green stuff as well next to it, which we call drying heights. That's if you've got tides. Where we are navigating, we don't have tides. So, but basically that's that. We've got the depths on it. If you measure a distance, we're gonna do it on the vertical part, and we count the minutes, which is nautical miles. And I just explained as well what a knot is, which is actually nautical miles per hour, but they give the animal a name, which is called a knot. And that's basically it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video about chart work. It's a little bit of a theoretical video, so we'll be producing some more in the coming future. If you like the video or you want to put some comments on it, please below you can always feel free to put some comments in the section. And as well, don't forget to push the subscribe and the bell button. You'll be notified for a new video when it's coming out. It's always for free, and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. All right, I'd love to see you next time, and have a great Christmas.